Hello, Briony here from Kitguru. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Razer Lancehead wireless gaming mouse. This mouse retails for a whopping £140, which is £60 more than the tournament edition. As soon as I took this mouse out of the box, I really fell in love with it. I love the grey gunmetal finish to the body, and I think the chroma lighting down the sides and the scroll wheel and the logo really add to the design. I often find that most mice are a little bit too big for me because I've got quite small hands. With the Lancehead though, I find it really comfortable. It's probably the most comfortable ambidextrous mouse that I've used. I do use a fingertip grip though, so I think that anyone with larger hands or someone that uses the palm grip is probably going to find it a little bit too small. If you use a claw grip though, it's probably going to be a perfect size for you. This mouse glides really nicely thanks to the pads on the bottom, and the rubber grips on the side stopped it from slipping out of my hand. The buttons on this mouse are Razer's mechanical switches, which are made by Omron, and they're rated to 50 million clicks. I found them responsive and they had quite a good click to them. You then have 4 programmable buttons on the sides of the mouse, and I found these easy to reach and press. The scroll is textured and it has a satisfying feel to it. You then have the 2 buttons underneath the scroll wheel that allow you to change the DPI between 5 different settings. I found the build quality on this mouse to be really good as well. When you lift it off the desk, it has a good weight to it at 111 grams. It is a little bit heavier than most mice, but I think that's probably because of the weight of the batteries in there, and I found that it wasn't too heavy, it was still comfortable to use. The battery life seemed to be pretty decent on this mouse. I found that I used around 10% per hour while I was gaming on it, and that is with the brightness settings and the polling rate set to the highest options. This is a wireless mouse, so I was quite conscious of how it compares to a wired mouse, and it does feature something called adaptive frequency technology, so you shouldn't get any interference, and I found this really helped. I didn't get any lag or disconnections while I was using it in the wireless setting. The wireless dongle itself is nice and small. You can actually store it away in the body of this mouse, and I found that's quite a good feature because if you want to take it somewhere with you, you're definitely not going to lose it. This mouse also comes with an adapter, so you can plug the wireless dongle into the cable, and it means you can easily switch between using it as a wireless mouse and a wired mouse if you need to charge it up. So obviously the most important feature of a mouse is going to be the sensor that it uses, and I found that's what really lets this mouse down. I'm not sure why, but they used a laser sensor on this mouse instead of the optical sensor that you find on the tournament edition. You can increase it in increments of 1 up to 16,000 DPI. The laser sensor is fine for everyday use and even games like League of Legends, but I don't think it's up to scratch for first-person shooters like CSGO. It has noticeable acceleration and the lift-off distance is quite high. I think for a mouse of this price, you would expect for it to have a much better sensor that has been specifically designed for gaming performance. I'm not sure why Razer didn't use the same sensor that you can find in the tournament edition of this mouse. The Razer Lancehead uses the Synapse 3 software, and this software is currently in beta, and I did experience quite a few crashes and mishaps while I was trying to use it. I found this to be pretty frustrating really. It's definitely not what you want when you're trying to try out your brand new expensive mouse. I think once the bugs have been ironed out, it will be decent software. It looks nice and clean and it's intuitive to use. Everything is easy to access using the different tabs along the top, and it also gives you quite a bit of control over the different settings. So let's take a look at the Synapse 3 software. So you've got the Customize tab, and this is where you can reprogram buttons, set up macros, and you can also create profiles and put them onto the mouse's onboard memory, and you've got the option to save up to 4 different profiles. If you go onto the Performance tab, this is where you can change the DPI, you can adjust the acceleration and change the polling rate. And then the Lighting tab, you can change the brightness, and you've got like a nice little slider on there. And then you've got the Quick Effects, so that gives you the few preset options that you have on there. You can also synchronize this mouse with other Razer peripherals, although Synapse 3 doesn't unfortunately support all Razer peripherals at the moment. You can also turn on advanced effects, and then you can create your own effects in the Chroma Studio. And then you've got the calibration tab, which is where I experience a lot of the crashing unfortunately. So this is where you can set the mouse to work with different surfaces, and you can also adjust the lift off range in that one as well. And then at the end you've got the power tab, so it just lets you change settings for when the mouse tells you that it's got low battery, or if you want to get the mouse to go into power saving mode after it's been idle for a certain amount of time. So overall, I like the shape and the style of the Razer Lancehead. It looks really nice and I found it really comfortable to use. The wireless connectivity and the battery life is also good, but when you're looking at a mouse, the most important feature is going to be the sensor that it uses, and this mouse is just really let down by the sensor that Razer have decided to use. I think for £140 you expect to sort of get the best performing mouse possible. If you really like the Razer Lancehead shape and you definitely want a wireless mouse, this is going to be one to consider, but you've got to remember you're going to sacrifice quite a bit of performance. If you like this video from Kitguru, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from Kitguru, hit the subscribe button.